on my experience with the UN system so far. So it would be great if you can put your questions or expectation. If you have, like, you can just put it on the chat box. I'll just wait for 2 minutes, then I'll start. Okay, I'll just start. And meanwhile, if you have any questions or if you require some inputs or something, you can just put on the chat at the end, like how Rashid meant. Like, I'll speak for another 25 to 30 minutes. I'll not take much time. And after that, if you have any questions or any sort of like your inputs you require, just let me know. So I have started, like, I start from the TIS only, because that's where, like, all I started, like, my careers and everything. My name is, like, Ahammed Kabeer, and I've studied in TIS from 2014 to 16. Before that, I have done my Bachelor's of Social Work from Mangalore University. And in 2016, like from 14 to 16, I've studied Criminology and Justice, which is in the School of Social Work, where I studied criminology as my specialization, and that gave me an opportunity to work with a lot of NGOs and our own project initiative Prayas within Mumbai and Amravati and other regions of Maharashtra, which helped me. After that, I got a placement where we run, like, CGPC, our own career guidance placement cell. So through that, I have got my campus placement to Tata Steel Foundation, where I worked for, like, more than 5.5 years as executive rural development, where I have worked on multiple projects. So I've studied criminology, that always there, like, been with me, like, as a passion. So the core project which I led in there was like a prison initiative, a rehabilitation project, and also worked with the tribals. I worked with the education, and also we had come up with a brilliant idea of Mastiki Pashala, where we mainstream the students from the living in platforms or Naxal affected areas or school dropout children. So that was one of the best project I have done. So that all I worked in Tata Steel. Then later I joined Azim Premji Foundation, which earlier known as Azim Premji Philanthropic Initiative, where I worked as a grant manager. That was my non-UN journey. But after joining Azim Premji Foundation, I got an opportunity to work with the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office as a OMT coordination officer. So OMT stand for Operations Management Team. So Operation Management Team is like a kind of a group where there are 26 plus agencies, UN agencies working in India. So my job was to support, to coordinate the all joint operations of UN agencies, because every agency has a different kind of operations. So my role was, like, to bring more joint operations where one or two agency can take a lead and other agency can take the benefit, sort of. So my role was as an OMT coordination officer, where I assisting resident coordinator, who is the like, kind of a resident coordinators in simple terms is like head of UN in India, sort of, where all the UN agency comes under one umbrella. So I was working in that agency for, like, quite like 1.5 years or more than that. And there I used to support all the UN agencies in India on operation front. Operation front means admin, HR, finance, ICT, and procurement. So I work with the different working groups, and I coordinate. I also support them, the over like the main OMT operation management team and all the working groups. That was my journey there. Then after that, like, working for more than 1.5 years, I got an opportunity, which I am currently now work with the UNICEF, where I work as administrative associate on with the UNICEF, where I support again admin, very specifically to admin for UNICEF. So where I support on administrative role. You must be thinking, as persons learned social work and worked with NGOs and CSR and philanthropy, now currently on the administrative front. Just a thought of taking a career change, and being in UN or UNICEF is like kind of a dream job for everyone. So that was the reason. So it was not an easy journey to be in UN. It was a very tough, like in 3 years time, like when I wanted to join UN system, it took me more than a 3.5 years of time, where I started to apply more than 100 applications. Like that I used to, I could count with, there are 2 3 platforms where I applied on. Apart from that, I have applied more than that application. So finally I got one application where I had opportunity to work resident coordinator's office. Then there I started to understand how could we come to UN system, how could we make an entry to the UN system. uh, yeah so that was the questions I could get an answer for, those kind of a question which I had earlier. It was not easy journey, and I'm coming from a very rural background. There was no network, kind of not a very professional networks. Where like as being a first generation learner, it was not easy to be reached to UN. It was a dream comes true sort of when I started to work with UN system. So first I thought I'll just speak on how and what all are there like in the UN system. So I would say joining or working with the UN system is not it's not very impossible. It's very possible job, but not very simple. Because when you apply to UN, there are different types of job contracts. Just to for your information, UN jobs are based on contract. It is 1 year, 2 years kind of a contract, which they have a different category. One is a full-time contract, one is the consultancy, one is the service contract. These are the modality of contract which UN provides. And fixed term is like for 2 years, then it extended to another 2 years. Then again, you have to come back to market and compete with the same vacancy. That what happens in the UN system. So it's everything is contractual job. It's not a permanent job where once you join, like earlier I used to be on a permanent job where I joined, I could have worked till my retirement without any problem, like in Tata or Azim Premji. But in UN, it's a contractual job. You have to be very competitive every time. So you have to upgrade or upscale each and every time. Once you in the job, you need to upgrade yourself as well. So I'll speak on different
This
levels,
person
different
talking
grades,
with
different kind of a jobs in UN
your
system.
again. Your
People think
your
only in
again.
the
I
development
think
sector people can
terminology.
apply to UN
Terminology.
system.
Sim, from
But
terminology.
that's not true.
It's
Even
now
people with
one
having
software.
experience on HR,
Associate.
people having experience on finance, procurement, ICT, or
One
admin job
one
also
of
can
admin associates.
apply to UN system, because it is a core job of UN system is a development sector, but also they have operational support. So
In
there are
2016.
multiple opportunities, like the multiple opportunities on both front, on programmatic and administrative or HR related or operational front. So while there are two kind of position as an Indian you can apply in India. One is the general service, and one is the national officers. So mostly national officer comes on for program. It comes for both operations and programs, but these are the different kind of levels. Like G, general service, which comes from G1 to or 7. So generally 1 to 4 is like kind of a drivers or a kind of administrative assistants or sort of jobs. But 5 to 6 and 7 comes like actual like very qualified post. And there is another level known as the national officer, which start from A, B, C, D or E. There very rarely we get like E vacancies. Mostly very senior people work on NOC or NO national officer or C or D kind of a positions. So these are the major thing. Apart from that, we have another vacancy modality called like service contract. We have a consultancy kind of a works, and there are different in UNDP. They don't have a service contract. They call as a national personal service agreement. So they have NPSA. That's the name they give to their service contract positions. So service contract are like consultancy are like for 1 year kind of contract, not like a G or NO kind of a contract. It's like for 1 year, and every time it get renewed for next year, another year, another year. But when it is GN or NO, you have to actually compete after 2 or 4 years. You have to compete with the other people to get back to the same job. So these are the contract modalities. Then apart from that, as a Indian, you can apply to outside India, where we have a position called P. It's a P12 six. We have a different kind of a modality: P one, two, three, four, five, six. So that's the modality where, as an Indian, we can apply for outside. So some common mistake I have identified during my and after understanding this thing, even I used to apply P level jobs. I used to apply NOC or NOD or NOE, which is a very senior positions. We apply when it comes in India. As an Indian, I apply to P level position, which I should not be getting it. So that's the one common mistake which we all have done. But I just would like to bring more kind of understanding as a students with or those people who have 1 or 2 years experience. There is another kind of a work job which we have in the UN system, which known as like UN volunteers, UNV. So if you Google, you will find that platform in UNV. So there are different three types of UN volunteers they hire. When you hear the name volunteers, you mean like it's a volunteer job. No, it's actually a job. You will be paid for that, but it's not a salary they pay. They'll pay you a stipend, like kind of a stipend, voluntary living allowances they call VLA. So in that VLA, it's there are first category comes National UN Youth Volunteers, where they pay more than like almost 43,000 rupees per month, and they ask only 1 or 2 years experience, and that's the easy way. As a freshers or 1 year experience or 2 years experience, you all can try and target for. Then there is another comes UN specialist. They ask for questions, they ask for some more experience, like 3 to 5 or 5 to 6 years experience, because they ask looking for some specialists, and they don't want a full-time staff for that. They need for 1 or 2 years job, so they ask for a specialist. And expert rarely comes. If really needs for a project for 1 year or something, they ask for expert. Otherwise, even youth volunteer specialist. And this is something as a student we all should be targeting. Or you also 1 year experience, we can always have an eye on. This is something I need to be like, if all the time I need to be checking on. So that kind of a job, because UNV helps us to reach into the like in a proper UN system. First, it help us to understand the system. Then later it help us to bring a lot of network within the system. So once you are UNV, you are working with the project people, like the senior people, and it help you to reach out to the senior management. It help you to bring a more kind of a relationship and networking within your field of areas, areas of expertise or areas of engagement. So UNV is a one option as a students you all can aim for. And these are the modalities and different types of contracts. And in India, we had 26 agencies, and we can always look for those 26 agencies, and you just have to go to their specific website. Like for UNDP, you will find everything on the UNDP website. There is a website for UNICEF, and there is a website for UN Secretariat, which is known as UN Inspira. So where you can find multiple organization vacancies in the same platform. So you first of all, you just need to have to focus on which UN agency you want to work for or where you want to work for. And that's how it works. For example, if you want to work on education, you can basically you need to look at UNICEF, and you have to be very looking for each and every kind of a jobs they send. They might ask for 2 years or 3 years of experience. That doesn't mean that they are going to take 2 or 3 years experience. Actually, that's the basic minimum requirement they're looking for. But mostly they get high qualified and experienced people, so that they go for those people. So you should not be disappointed when they don't select you or they don't hire you. And you just need to keep on applying for that. So this is the brief understanding of UN system, where to apply and how to apply. And when you look at me, like even I was very clueless when I was applying, and it was my like some kind of a dedicated lookout for the jobs within the UN system, which took me 3.5 years, more than 3.5 years time, where I applied. I like I mentioned, like more than 100 application I put, and where I made common mistakes, which I've explained also. Like I'm applying for some international in India, but I'm not bothered on that. I'm just keep on applying. So sometimes you have to very like cautious on what you are applying and for what you are applying. So that's very important. So in UN, basically they look the initial thing happen at screening level. When you apply, you just putting a random application. That's not going to help you. You have to be very rigorously. You have to work on your CVs and cover letters. Because the initial screening is done by the system, which may be someone sitting at the global level or someone sitting at the headquarters level. Then comes for the shortlisting and long listing and shortlisting of the CV at the country level. And from there, they shortlist and they identify the most suitable few candidates. Then they go for written test. Written test basically, and it's a technology. Sometimes it's very technical. Sometimes it's just understanding your level of knowledge or skill in the technology part, like using MS Office or Power BI or some sort of not mostly Power BI, but mostly MS Office. They are trying to understand your proficiency in the MS Office or other computer-based skills, and then comes the interview. So interview are like mostly competency based. Like you must have, like, if final year students, if they are sitting for their placement, the first question comes always like, tell me about yourself. Where are you from? What's your expectation? What's your dreams, goals? But when it comes to the event, the questions, the interview, a little bit different from the other organization, because they don't never ask you like, where are you from? What's your name? Because they have all the information. They have gone through your CVs and everything. They know you much better than you sometimes, because they have read what you wrote in the CV and cover letter. So they want some people with the competencies. So while you apply for a job, the first thing you have to be very careful, read through the job vacancy once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, like till you get understand what they are looking for. Because there are two major parts in the UN vacancies. One is the job responsibility. There will be one para uh, where you need to be carefully reading through it, going through it. The second thing, there is a one set of, most of the time I used to ignore those things, competencies. There is a set of competency, 5 or 4 or 6 set of competencies, and each competence it's at different level. The based on the like seniority or this thing, they will ask for each job. Like if something is a mid management level job, they will have a level 4 or 5 kind of, or if it is a very senior post, they will have a level 6, 7 kind of competency they will ask. And most of the time they have a pre-prepared questions based on these competencies. So based on these competencies, they'll ask you few questions like which is pre-prepared, and you have to answer for those competencies. Which means, for example, there one of the competency could be confidentiality or strategic planning. So they might ask a question in your life where you worked with some organization. How did you? They will give you a situation or something, and they will ask you, or they will ask you to tell how strategically you plan certain projects. So they will not directly ask you those questions with the strategic word, but they will ask indirectly. They will ask you to explain those strategies which you played, where we need to answer on a different way. So I after learning this fact, after that, in all interviews, I use STAR technique, which is situation, task, action, and research. So before the interview, every time I read through the competencies, and I for each competencies I'll write an example based on the STAR technique, where I understand whatever I have done in the past, I'll match to those competencies, and I'll select those few examples from my career where I can give the best result. So that's how I prepare now. For even after getting a job, we still keep on looking for better opportunity. That's how we work and grow in the profession, because it's a contractual job. So you need to look one by like jobs every time. So that's how we I answer now. So this is the how you can crack your UN interviews, because UN interviews are not like the common traditional orthodox kind of interviews. It's much different, like much advanced, where they'll ask you competency based, and rest they have every all the information while before you do your written test. So they don't go for asking your name or asking for where are you from or your experience, years of experience and all. So this is how UN system. And in India there are 26 agencies which I mentioned already, where you can keep on, like you can have an eye like which kind of agency I would be preferred to work. If some person on work want to work on biodiversity or environment, UNEP, United Nations Environment Program started in India also like some time back. So you can go for those agencies vacancies and everything. And the one thing we should be very mindful, sometimes we apply and we don't get. We may reach to final interview stage but we don't get. That doesn't mean that you are not qualified or something. So you always apply, you reach to final stage. Something what happens, they put your name on the roster in the sense, if someone comes at the second or third rank, they put their names in the second, like in the roster. So if the first person who got the job, if they say I don't want the job, it naturally goes to the second person. But sometimes this person may go for another job after 6 or 7 months. Then there is a possibility of you're getting a job that again, because that's how I ended up working with the UN. Because when I applied, I worked for Azim Premji Foundation. and also worked for United Nations. Like I prepared for United Nations. The first result I came from United Nations, they said you are second recommended candidate, and I did not qualify for the post. And I got the opportunity with Azim Premji. Then I moved to Bangalore and settled. Then after it took almost 6 months. Then I got an email from them. Are you interested to join the position which I've earlier applied? Without anything, without any second thought, I just said yes. I'll join. So that's how I got. So it doesn't mean you get it or you don't get it. You should apply. If you reach the final stage, they'll put you in your name in the roster sometime. So they'll, because they don't want to waste their resource and money and everything for, again they're going to publish the vacancies and it takes time. So works, time, everything matters. So they'll keep your name for at least 6 to 7, 8 months there in the roster. So you should always apply. So this is a brief about the UN system, and currently I work as administrative associate, which comes under the G category, and where I gives administrative support to the UN system. I'm not a very senior person, like 20, 30 years experience. I have like almost 8 years experience, out of which 2.5 years with the UN system too, and with other and UN. So, but what I try to do, I try to help my, like when I talk to my this batchmates, the one thing even they get shocked that no one tells up, like no one shares us about the like kind of a UN vacancies which we have, like UNV. I never knew like UNV is an easy way to get into UN system, but no one told us, even not our faculty, not our college. This is something where we can, it's a low hanging fruit where we can target with 1 or 2 years experience. And once you are in the system, you know the way. You can dig up, like you can build your own roads, networks, and everything. So that's up to you. But if someone shares those kind of experience to us, then it makes very much easy for us to reach to some like international reputed organization. So that's the reason I chose to speak to you all guys today, where I thought like in 20 minutes whatever I can share with you guys I can just share. So this is a brief about our like UN contracts and modality, but instead of I'm speaking, I would rather would like to answer or give clarity on your questions. And I could see there are some questions already on the chat box, which I'll try to answer now. Can I answer regarding PhD opportunity? See, there are certain, even someone wrote Ishrat Jahan regarding PhD opportunity. See, it doesn't matter like you have PhD or not. So it's based on, so for certain posts they ask for only postgraduate. Some posts they ask graduation. So that's more than enough. And sometimes some agencies, UN agency with PhD, they give a relaxation to the experience. And there are many people, like one of my closest colleague, like she had a PhD and she is currently working with UN system. So PhD helps you to get like, it brings you more kind of a, you have a more strong knowledge on the field, and you're applying for the similar post, and it's high chance so you have a weightage there because you have done a field research and you have done a lot of content around it. So the other question, which area is more responded with UN? Are you associated with UNICEF India? Yes, I am with UN India in Delhi. So which area is more wanted in the UN? There is nothing like that more wanted or most. If I like last time I was interacting with the high school and higher secondary and first year graduation students, and they were asking what should I learn, what should I study to be in the UN. There is nothing like that. There is nothing called like more wanted or most wanted area of, or if you study some, for example, if you study only mental health you can get into UN, nothing like that. Or if you study only environment science you can get into it, nothing like that. So the first thing you need to is, see, they ask people with experience, they ask people with the content, and they ask people with some specific knowledge and expertised area of like they have experience. So they ask those kind of a people. And the first thing we need to have, like the first thing we need to decide like what I wanted to do with my life, what I wanted to work on, and is my core subject area, where I want to put my expertise, where I want to build, I want to upscale and upgrade myself. That's the first question you need to answer. Once you decide, okay, I want to work on a child, children in need of care and protection, just work on that, build your kind of a knowledge content around it, experience it. UNICEF and many other agencies have vacancies. Whenever it comes, just apply for it. Keep on looking an eye. Or if you're working on education, there are vacancy comes. The first thing for some, if you're looking for some national officer post, you need to have like 3 to 5 years experience. That's reality. So you need to have some kind of a good kind of a experience, number of years. Then you can apply for that. The first thing, you have to have experience and knowledge. There's nothing like if I study particular thing, I get to the UN. No, nothing like that. It is a wrong assumption even which I had. Like I used to think only people with environment science can get to into the UN system. Nothing like that. Any international service exam based on nothing like that. It's all country based, or if you are applying for some outside India position, then they will have their own exam. So throughout the UN agents, they will have a common exam. Each agency will have their own kind of an exam. There is nothing called International Civil Service Commission. It is for different purpose. They used to have some general service examination where you can apply, but not now. That long back, long story in the past. But there is a young professional programs comes with UN agencies or ADB or World Bank or IMF or IFSC. But with the young professional or junior professional program, the problem is that most of the time it is not uh, qualified for Indian candidate. Most of the time it is not open for India. Most of the time, like what happens, it's only for some other countries which they specify in the list. So it comes very like very sometime very, it's not very frequent to India. Sometime it comes like in once in a 5 years or 6 years. Last time we had IFSC and World Bank had a junior professional program which was open to India, and many people applied, including me myself. They had age relaxation of 35 years, so till 35 you can apply. Sometimes it does not come for India. We can't, as an Indian, we can't apply sometimes. So yes, so if you really want to work on consultant in UN system, the one thing is consultancy. Consultancy comes every time it comes because they want some expertise people, so they take consultancy instead of taking a full time staff. So it's based on your contract how they decide. There are sometimes people have like that negotiation. I can work 2 or 3 multiple contracts. Of course, there are sometimes they don't agree for that. So it's based on your negotiation and how you build up your contracts with the system with the UN agencies. It's mostly it's deliverables based. Your consultancy will be. So there is a, where will I find the opportunity for UN volunteer opportunity? There is a platform called United Nation Volunteer, and they will, from there you can find the United Nation portal, United Nation Volunteer portal UNP. So you can go through those website and you can find. So there are multiple kind of throughout. There are both international and national UN volunteer positions, both offline and online. Offline is more preferable because online opportunities are mostly unpaid. It's 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but certain some vacancy comes for a longer time and paid. See, while you prepare your CV and interviews, you should be able to like there are certain words in the vacancy notification comes, strategic planning or community interaction. There are certain keywords comes, you have to catch those keywords, and you ensure that these keywords are reflected in my CV directly or indirectly somewhere. You have to find that alignment with your job CV cover letter with the job notification. The keywords you need to identify. That's the reason I say read as much as time you possible so that you can understand those keywords and you can put those keywords into the your CV, cover letters, and cover letter always should be 1 page. And I have seen many people applying with 3 or 5 pages of CVs. People are not going to read it because they don't have much time, and even system also most of the time don't recognize. So, and sometimes if you are applying, don't go for very decorative, like kind of a very kind of a people do very kind of a designs around it, like with many images and many this thing. Make it as simple as possible within 2 pages. Make it as like very presentable, and don't have to be very like kind of a invitation card sort of with a lot of colors and all those things. No, you have to make it as simple as possible, and that's the important thing. That's I said like CV and cover letter while applying to the UN system by Prakriti Mission. I said make it very simple. Don't go for more than 2 pages and try to cover. If you have worked on an NGO and you have worked, you don't have to give a lot of explanation to around your experience. You have to write what you have done, like your core job responsibilities and possible your achievements. And these around this experience while you write, you need to catch those keywords from the your job notification because it's ultimately in the initial stages the system going to screen through the entire CVs and cover letters. And That's the very important. And one more thing, while you apply, there is always comes at the last page, there are many question comes. You have to be very careful though. Like, have you ever arrested, have you, are you an international? Sometimes people will like very ignorant or say negligible, like negligent. So what they do, they just going to click in everything like yes or no. They don't read through it what they have wrote there, and give the proper answer. Sometimes because of you have one wrong click, your profile may get rejected, because it's all the system. The system have a parameters, and the parameters chooses the candidate first. If there is something which they don't want and they have already fed it in the system will eliminate it before it reaches to the human hands. So you need to be very cautious in each and every step. So sometimes like very we are not very patient, and we are like restless, and we just okay we uploaded the CV, we have uploaded the what cover letter, then we can just go okay this I got. No, nothing like that. Even after, before you upload that, they will ask write your experience. You have to be very like cautious what you are writing there, and you have to keep it like updated every time when you apply. Just have a go through it, and if there is anything to mean it, change it and apply, complete it. It will take time, but sometimes we need to have patience. See, you can apply to any UN jobs. It's not just like we can't apply those. No, nothing like that. The first thing, is it matching with my experience and my qualifications? Just leave it. You have MSW MBA. No. Have you worked on those fields? You have experience. You have content around it. You have a strong knowledge on it. Then you apply for it. Doesn't matter where you are applying. So you just have to apply it. Pay is good. So if you get a UN job which is fixed time, I'm just to want to tell you, it is non-taxable income you get, because you don't have to pay income tax. If you are on a full-time fixed term contract, if you are getting, if you're a consultant or a service contract, you need to pay tax accordingly the package you receives. And each and every packages are given on the website. You just go to the UNDP salary calculator. For each position, they have mentioned the salary there. So you don't have to worry. Salary is just on the public. You can just go there and Google it. So, but it's non-taxable income only for the fixed term staff, not for all other staff like service contract, consultant, UN based. No, it's only for fixed term staff. Yes, if you are going for a UN job, I'm not sure it's consultancy I mentioned it just based on your understanding and agreement with the UN agency. But apart from all other job, you can't work separately. If you're working with the UN, you have to work with the UN. You can't go for another job. It's not permissible. See, bid proposal is absolutely individual decision. We can't say they will be giving a deliverables, and as a consultant, we need to choose like what we are going to charge it. So it's absolutely up to you. The more experienced people charge more amount of money. The lesser experienced people put lesser amount, but not very minimal amount like they charge. So it's based on the deliverables and what you are going to, the hours of time you are going to invest, and how much you are going to charge for that hours. So based on that, is absolutely individual thing. Can't say that you can only accept this kind of a proposal, this much amount. No, nothing like that. There is nothing called ideal range on that. It's absolutely, like I said, it's absolutely individual thing. You have to decide what you are going to charge for them. So star method is a easy way. There are many multiple ways you can opt. So star is S stand for situation. T for task. Task mean like what was a situation given to you. For example, you need to work on a confident. They will ask something related to confidentiality, and they might be asking certain question related to confidentiality. How you maintain those confidentiality in an organized context. The first thing, you need to give a situation, and the task what you have done, what was the task you have decided to do, those to tackle those situation, or to answer to those particular situation. Then what kind of actions you have done. Say for example, some you have done some internal study, and there was some kind of a controversies, and the management asked you to do kind of a situation analysis, and the situation was that was a controversy. The task you have done, first you try to understand where this controversy came and how it was spread, and what was the current scenario. That was the task you do, like you're going to understand the situation, the action, and now you are going to prepare the solution. That's the action, your action. You're going to prepare the action, you are have an action plan and everything you're submitted. And the result, you have successfully tackled the controversies came in the media or somewhere. So that's how start technique works. So you have to build your experience or a particular example around this. What was the situation? For example, you're working on a malnutrition, and your area of geography was some kind of a area in Odisha or somewhere. So what was the situation? It malnourished, and what is the task you have given up, and what is the action you have taken, and what is the result? Improvement in the malnutrition rate. Something that way you have to build up. Competency part. Just give me a moment. I'll try to show you certain. Give me a moment. I'll just show you those competency live. It's a. So give me a moment. Just hold on. Just give me a moment, just guys. I'm just looking for a particular example where you can just have. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Uh, can you see my screen now? Can someone confirm it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, see, UNICEF competency required for this poster demonstrates self awareness and ethical awareness, works collaboratively with others, innovate and embrace change, think and act strategically, drives to achieve impact results. So the level is level 2, manage ambiguity and complexity. So this vacancy is particularly to international, and which is in New York. So it's very senior post. So manage ambiguity, because most of the time as a manager, senior manager, you have to deal with the different kind of conflicts, daily office works, and daily kind of a changing environment and many other things. Sometimes there will be some kind of a, you need to manage your own staff, for example. So different kind of the conflict you are coming dealing every day. So they are this kind of questions to your what's say in your competencies. So this is a one example, like they give you a set of examples. That was a one question I got from here. Wait, just there are many questions. Okay, so can you please share something about UN internship? Okay, UN internship mostly it will come on the respective pages. It's not very usual because they may mostly hire UN volunteers and professionals. So it's very rare chances. Sometimes it comes. Last time it came in UNDP website. You can always it comes on the UN pages whenever there is an UN internship. It's a good question. Like two foreign languages. So if you only learn language, does not mean that you qualify for some particular job. After all, they look for your competencies, all your knowledge, content, and experience. And if you're working for someone outside India and you're applying for a particular post where dominant language, spoken language is Spanish or French, then there is an advantage. But it's also true that there are people from the community or from someone with that mother tongue is French or Spanish also going to apply. So yeah, understand having knowledge is one particular advantage, so just a weightage, but does not mean that you will know some language, does not mean that you're going to have a job. Because many people ask me this question, I learn French, I'll do my masters in French, then I can get you a job. No, first of all, where you want to work, what you want to do in life, and everything you have to decide yourself. And once you make content around it, then you apply for jobs. There's nothing you have to prepare for UN. It's as good as you're applying for any jobs. Mentorship, I'm not clear. Can we access mentorship? See, Mentorship with the seniors network, you can have mentors, they can guide you better always. So you can just talk to them on LinkedIn and they can guide you help. Yeah. So keywords is depend. It depends upon which job you are going to apply and how you are going to apply. So for each job, you can just find their own keywords. Mostly it depends. They do. It's a reality. People want with experience. So, first of all, if you have grass, see if you have a experience with NGO CSR and very strong experience in 2 3 years of experience, and you're applying for some post, there are high chances you get. So, the first of all, you need to build experience around it. Where you want to work, which agency you are on. Volunteering, yeah, 1 to 2 years experience is enough. They ask for it, and you can apply for it. The Fatima Altaf's question, given your education and work experience, what do you think came relevant to work you do right now at UNICEF? To brand name like in CV matters from the UNICEF interview? No, it's not brand name. It is a content you write in the CV, the keywords you put. So, fortunately, while I was working with this thing, what Tata Steel Foundation and Azim Premji Foundation, as a program person, I also have to do certain administrative jobs, certain operational as well. Because as a program manager, I also responsible to procurement for my project, also do financial budgeting and everything. And I reflected because the coordination job was for the operation front, and I have done a lot of coordination with international communities for my project in Tata Steel and with other Indian state and with the tribal communities and different NGOs and stakeholders. So I clearly mentioned stakeholder management, communication to partners. There are certain keywords which I have used. So that helped me to come, not the brand names, but it's a content and the keywords I have used. Because I still remember one of the question in my first interview, asked by the deputy representative for operations for UNICEF, what is the role of a communication and the characteristics of a communication? They're not going to ask the define, but they're going to ask what you have done in your experience as a as a communication person for your project, what you have done. So I said I'm amplifying my project, I'm giving content, and I'm giving visibility to my project. So how have I done my communication? So I have to give numbers. So I told like when I started my present project, no one knows, but I started to use my media team to come up with the content and everything. And this communication helped me to amplify. So you have to give the situation analysis and everything. So you answer those. You don't have to just study some by heart some kind of a communication definition or characteristic. They ask what you have done. That's what they mean. Could you please detail about the young professional program? I'm not see young professional program help you to get into the mid management level with the UN system on a top level. Like it's a really good opportunity, but most of the time what happened is not open for India. I have like disappointed myself for multiple times. Whenever I go for each agencies and each young professional program on the eligibility countries, India is not there. So we are not eligible to apply some most of the time. So you have to locate each time young professional program comes from World Bank or ADB or anything. You just have to just check once. If India is on the list as an eligible country, just apply. Or do we have some sort of exam and interviews for UN volunteers? Obviously, you have exams, you have interviews, everything you have like staff. Because it's called as a volunteers, but does not mean you are a volunteer. You are as good as a staff. Okay, so CSR have ample, like it's a vast sea. You have many opportunities with CSR. You can just look which kind of a CSR you want to work. Some people have their own ethics. They don't want to work with the CSR. They don't want. They have their own values, so they don't work. But there are multiple opportunities. I work with the Tata Steel, and it's not just Tata Steel. There are like all the company have CSR now. Now they don't. Most of them have, and they need people to run their. Some people do their environment related project. Some agencies work on environment, some work on education, some work on community development. Everyone does their own project, and there are certain navaratna companies or some other government public sector companies also do CSR. So they have more, sometimes they have just interview, sometimes they have exams and interview. So you can apply for all those things. Tata Steel was the best experience, and that made me to be here because they taught me everything, program to operations. So it was a good experience working with Tata Steel because I learned procurement while doing my project. I learned budgeting. I learned finance. I learned HR because I have to hire for my projects. So everything they taught you, and ICT, yeah, that's a basic course we have, like kind of a MS Office, because you do presentation and Excels. That's what you need to learn this time because everything's on Microsoft Word, presentation, and Excel. So yeah, and you need to upgrade and upscale. Like upscaling is very important. So Tata Steel used to come for campus placement, and in 2016 or 17, I came with Tata Steel for the uh, campus placement. So they used to come. So as a CGPC cell or other career guidance, you can approach Tata Steel to come for your placement drive. So they used to come. I don't know what happened now. I don't know. They used to come. Even after me, there were two or three batches came from Tata.
Do you have class
This.
tomorrow?
So you can approach them. Yeah.
Huh?
So
You
and
have
there are
class
many
tomorrow?
multiple vacancy
Evening.
they
Evening.
update in the LinkedIn.
Afternoon.
Tata Steel Foundation.
No.
Tata Steel is known as
It's
Tata
4
Steel
o'clock.
Foundation. So you
4
can
o'clock.
LinkedIn. You just get connected to them and you will see many vacancies are coming. Okay. Any more questions? Anyone? Anything? Anyone? I think yeah. If you have any questions or anything, please let me know. I can just wait. Otherwise, we can wrap up the session. Okay, someone raised their hand. Yeah, please go on. Muhammad Danish, go on. Okay, there is a question from Sana Farid. Uh, it's very competitive. That's the one word I can define now. The current situation of the development sector in India, because there are many people with experience and this thing, and it very competent. So it's not just a degree. You just need to have experience with some good skills. You need to improvise your CV. You need to this thing because there are multiple opportunity and multiple talents are awaiting the market. Earlier we used to have a community development. Now it's not just that. There is a mental health, public health, and vast areas of working area. People are just like expanding their working areas. Even Tata Steel, why now they've expanded to biodiversity to many other things. Now they have operations in Ludhiana also. Earlier they used to have only Jharkhand and Odisha. Now they have in Punjab many other things. So it's expanding. It's a good opportunity we have, and there is a multi people are starting their own consultancy. There are multiple consultancy available where you can have a field visit, you can write, you can make policy and policy level jobs also. It's vast. There is nothing like that. Like if you do UN internship, you can get UN jobs. No, it's just like as good other internship you just have. Yeah, knowing the system always gives. Like you know the system, then it's always a credit, but does not mean that someone with you have a more experience and everything and you don't have an internship, it does not mean that someone with lesser experience with you an internship will get a job. No, it's content and what you know, the knowledge and everything. There are some
Sir,
hand raise. Yeah.
I'm sorry, our Google Meet is not a subscribed one, so I'm not
Okay.
sure we can go 1 hour more.
Okay, not a problem. So I'll just put my LinkedIn address here. So anyone have any questions in the later stage also, they can just text me there. Is that possible? Okay. I'll just put. Good evening, sir. Yeah. Sir, can you hear me? Sir, I am postgraduate in international relations, politics and international relations. So, from? Is there something related to that? That's how what mentioned. There is nothing like if you do a course, there's something no. What you work like if you're working on a conflict resolution or something, and you have like good number of years of experience, and most of the conflicted areas they look for those kind of experienced candidates like in African countries or in some other Asian or Arab worlds. So you can apply for the relevant post. The first of all, we all need to be mindful that we build our own expertise area and experience around it. Like being content or we have a content, we have some good knowledge, and we have damn good skills. That's it. So there are many opportunities. Not just you have degree and you can get it. Nothing like that. It's about your content, what you have. Anyone else? So in the chat, you can find my LinkedIn ID. If you have any questions in the future or anything, like someone asked a mentorship or something, so you can put the detailed text there, then I can respond.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. You delivered
Oh,
a wonderful session. Uh,
thank you, Rashid.
and thank you all of you who joined in this session. And this is time for wind up. So thank you
Thank
all of you.
you. Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening to me. And thanks for this opportunity, Rashid. Thanks.
Yeah.